Thanks for staying with Your View. We now speak to ANC Women's League President Bathabile Dlamini, who's joining us this evening to talk about the Women's League and its relevance, of course, and other issues that continue to play out in the public space. Mam Dlamini, siyabonga kakhulu for talking to us on Your View this evening. Good evening.
Good evening and good evening to your viewers, Bomi.
And I just want us to begin there. It's August, it's Women's Month. What is the relevance of the Women's League in 2019?
The relevance of the ANC Women's League in 2019 is that it is a political organization that is part of the ANC, and the ANC is the ruling party. The Women's League has to try and ensure that the ANC continues leading the struggle for the emancipation of women and ensuring that the agenda of the ANC becomes relevant to women. Mm-hmm. We also have to ensure that all the laws that discriminate against women are eradicated. We have to ensure that gender parity is implemented and it becomes the law in South Africa. We have to ensure that the ANC prioritizes the Women's League as its wing of women and as the vanguard of the women of South Africa. The history of the Women's League speaks for itself, but we must move forward and ensure that there are major changes in fighting poverty, fighting inequality, as well as unemployment.
And while we talk about the ANC Women's League, of course, being a wing of the ANC, in Rule 6 on the Constitution, and this is on gender and affirmative action that's from the ANC's Constitution, it says, in the endeavor to reach the objective of full representation of women in all decision-making structures, the ANC shall implement a program of affirmative action, including the provision of a quota of no less than 50% of women in all elected structures of the ANC to enable such effective participation. What is the ANC Women's League doing in this very generation to ensure that we do realize this serious issue of lack of representation and inequality also that continues to plague the ruling party, particularly where women are concerned in leadership?
Let's talk about the past elections. What is important is that we are not, firstly, we are not asking for the representation of women. Our women participated in the struggle and they were part of all the pillars of the struggle. And secondly, we have proven beyond reasonable doubt that we have the capacity to lead in the ANC. Our performance and participation in the elections campaign was not, it was seen by all South Africans. We ensured that the ANC wins the elections. But also it did not end there. Issues of gender parity were discussed and we had measures to deal with challenges in some of the areas. For instance, when it comes to premiers, we have only 2 premiers out of 8 provinces that were won by the ANC. But to complement that, we came up with an alternative decision of ensuring that all speakers are women, of ensuring that there is a 60-40 representation in provinces, executive committees, and also presiding officers, as well as the whippery. We have ensured that there is 50%. Also a women cabinet. We pushed for 50%, but we lacked just, I think, 1% to reach 50%, because we did not count the president and the deputy president. There are areas that we have seen and think have to be dealt with. The 25% reservation of seats in the list, we think it's meant to keep men in power. Because in most instances, that 25% is full of men. And we think in the coming elections, there must be a zebra. If a woman is the president, the next person should be a man. If a man is the president, the next person in the list should be a woman. We understand what the ANC has been doing over the years, of having the deputy president of the ANC as the deputy president of the country. But when it comes to the list, we have to keep to real 50-50%. We should not talk of things that we are not able to implement.
And while we talk about those issues at leadership level and making sure that there's representation here and there, how could the ANC Women's League allow the ANC to continue for so long without a sexual harassment policy?
Okay, firstly, there was a sexual harassment policy that the Women's League came up with. But I think at some stage it was not formalized. And then we came up with a sexual harassment policy that has been adopted. But I would like to say to South Africans, the issue of violence against women, gender-based violence, is the challenge of the society. And the programs that deal with violence against women have to be supported by all leaders.
And while they're supported by all leaders, I apologize for coming in there, but while they're supported by all leaders, shouldn't then this have been one of the issues that the ANC Women's League really champions, because it then had to come to light at a time that the ANC, found itself under a cloud, that it actually does not have such a critical policy when it comes to dealing with sensitive issues around women?
Firstly, I said, when I was the SG of the ANC Women's League, we did have a policy, but it got lost on the way. And then again, we do have sexual harassment policy. And what I'm trying to say is that at all times, if you want to push the Women's League into the corner, we always find ourselves defending even some of the wrong things. When we deal with political issues, let them cut across. The issue of violence against women, femicide, gender inequality cuts across. And therefore, all political organizations, faith-based organizations, traditional leadership organizations, civil society organizations, the trade unions must be part of fighting gender-based violence. And we even have laws that are being that have to be amended or reviewed, because we think they are not dealing squarely with the issues of violence against women and children.
And as you admitted earlier in your question that the ANC Women's League, when pushed to a corner, it was defending wrong things. Some have called you gatekeepers of patriarchy within the ANC. What do you say to that?
No, I never said so. I said, if you push us into the corner and not accept the fact that South Africa has a problem as a society, and apportion blame in the Women's League, we have to stand in the corner and defend ourselves. And secondly, last year on the 1st of August, it was only the Women's League that had a march to its offices and spoke about those that were culprits when it comes to issues of violence against women. And we've been continuously facing the issue of violence against women as the ANC Women's League and working with the Young Women's Desk.
And so you think that the assertions that you are gatekeepers of patriarchy are incorrect?
People can say whatever they want, but what is important is for us to grow, commit mistakes, accept and admit our mistakes, and perform better. I think we've all seen that it's the first time that gender parity is respected by the ANC. And that did not happen automatically. We had to fight for it. So people will always say what they want. And one other issue, what is going on now is that we fought at Nasrec. And then people can see that there is no option. We are going to have a woman president. And every day they say bad things about the Women's League and its leadership because they want alternative leaders that are not going to fight the atrocities against women and injustices.
Ma'am Dlamini, I'm going to ask us to hold it there for now. We have to go for a quick ad break. I would like us to continue.